Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the February 10th, 2022 Board of Selectmen meeting, which is again virtual today. And as usual, we'll start the meeting off with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and thank you, Lauren. Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 27th, 2022?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camello is a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of January 27th, 2022?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camello is a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to accept the minutes of the special meeting of the BOS of January 18th, 2022?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camello is a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Excuse me, Fred, you cannot vote on that because you were absent from that meeting.
Oh, so I take that vote back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the correction. So we have a, Janet, did you vote on that one?
I haven't, okay, so Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, good. So 2-0-1. And lastly, is there a motion to accept the minutes for the special meeting of January 30th, 2022?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camello is a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. Big catch, Bart. Okay, this is maybe one of the shortest meetings of the year, at least regular meetings. And my updates will probably be the shortest of the year. Quickly, the COVID update, there's currently 12 people in Greenwich Hospital, and there's 143 system-wide. So they're really coming down now, and we're seeing that now all over the country. Even some of the former and later hotspots are now coming down drastically. So it looks like all the predictions and things that we've been hearing about an endemic starting to happen, and as the virus weakens with each variant, policies are being adjusted. You probably read that New York and New Jersey have adjusted their indoor mask policy. The governor has kicked it off to local school districts around the 28th of February. So we're going to be doing the same. We've been talking about from the beginning, probably the last month or so, ending it later this month. And Ben, Brandy, and I are going to speak a little bit later and talk with everybody else. But it's going to come soon, and we just want to give people a week's notice. So be on the lookout for something in the next day or so about that. But again, the masks will be optional. Some people are still going to want to wear them. And they should, if they have their systems are compromised, or they're worried in any way. So that's that won't change. And I think even some of the businesses that don't have any mask requirement, we still see people wearing them. So it means that people are taking it seriously. So that's all to the good. So stay tuned on that one. The other day we had a press conference in Armstrong Court about 8-30G with the Greenwich delegation, Representatives Fiorello, Meskers, Representative Rohr couldn't make it that day, and Senator Fazio, along with Tony Johnson and Sam Romeo of Greenwich Communities. And it was a nice crowd there. And we talked about not only putting in legislation that I've been meeting with the delegation about for a while, for the first time ever, kind of going on the offensive to give towns a break, but also to do so from an environmental standpoint with all of the flood issues that every town's experiencing now, and with infrastructures in each town much older. It's any type of mandate that adds impervious surface and takes away soil, it exacerbates an already dangerous situation in some areas. So we wanted to do that, but also talk about some other things that we're doing well and right. And we're still convinced that even though they only count 5.3% towards that 10% total mandate of affordable units in town, we think we are well over that. It's just the definition needs to be expanded and changed in the legislature. So more on that, but we're really going to make probably the best effort we've ever seen on that. In the past, people have put, including myself, put legislation in, and if you got a hearing, that was a big deal. So we hope to do a lot better than that this time. Lots of new businesses are opening up, and I know a lot of them, a few restaurants opened up during the surge of the Omicron surge. So they pushed back their grand openings and their ribbon cutting. So if you're out there and you have a new business that's opened up or did open up, certainly we want to be able to promote you, and we'll certainly open to going down there and helping you. So with that, just keep your eye out on the calendar in the next few weeks. I think you're going to see quite a few openings of grand openings or delayed grand openings of businesses. So with that, I will turn it over to Lauren. Good morning, Lauren.
Good morning, Fred. Good morning, Janet, everyone. My first item that I want to do is wish my mom a happy birthday today. She turns 83, so happy birthday, Mom. Love you. And my next update, I was able to go on a hard hat tour of the new Bruce Museum expansion. And it was amazing, what's planned, what's in progress. And I took an action from that tour to try to get more of our town employees to go on tour, maybe some folks from DPW. So I'll reach out to Amy and try to see about scheduling something. And then definitely, as part of the Reimagine Greenwich committee, you want to be able to take that whole committee on a hard hat tour. And Janet, I think sustainability would benefit, from it as well.
We love it.
The group that organized it is reaching out to the BET to schedule a hard hat tour for the BET members and some of the RTM leadership that, is connected to town services and, things of that nature. But, really exciting. It's very exciting. I'll leave it at that. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, I know we've received a lot of emails from parents and the community regarding Central Middle School, and I have not had a chance to acknowledge individually or personally, but definitely as part of my update. I 1,000% support the rebuilding of that school. It's my alma mater, it's my brothers, it's my sisters, and totally agree it's in need. And I'll do what I can to advocate for that and support the rebuilding of that school. And that's my update.
It's Lauren, and on to Janet. Good morning, Janet.
Good morning. Thank you, Fred. Well, I'm going to join Lauren and begin on a serious note by sharing that my thoughts are with our Central Middle School families and staff in light of the recent closure. I certainly join all in asking that the situation be resolved and remedied quickly. And thank you to those who are working to keep our students, teachers, and staff safe. And as promised, I'm also going to take this opportunity to ask all town commissions, boards, and committees to please use the town calendar when posting their meetings, in addition to other web pages that they may already be using. The virtual halls of government can sometimes be something of a labyrinth, even for an elected official like me. And it's important that we honor the time and effort that members of the public make to attend meetings by making the experience easy. Now on to a happier note, I'd like to give a shout out to the First Selectmen's Youth Commission, which with the support of the YWCA and the First Selectmen's Diversity Advisory Committee, just hosted its 3rd annual Greenwich Student Diversity Leadership Conference, titled Beyond Allyship, Igniting Action in Agency. For those in attendance who may not know, the commission is comprised of student leaders from Greenwich public and private schools. I recently attended one of their meetings and they are a force, raising money for scholarships, organizing park cleanups, and sponsoring essay contests. They are movers and shakers in this town. So thank you, FSYC, for your good work. Looking ahead, the League of Women Voters of Greenwich will host a live stream presentation on Tuesday, February 22nd at 7 p.m. titled, Can Ranked Choice Voting Improve Elections in Connecticut? To register for this free event, please go to lwvgreenwich.org. And to give this update a sweet ending, Valentine's Day is coming up, and the community center's Inc., kids, and volunteers are busy baking for their annual bake sale that will be held on Monday in the town hall lobby between the hours of 10 and 2. Democracy in action. The money raised will go toward an activity that kids will vote on. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Two great updates from both Lauren and you. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the Central Middle School. We all received a bunch of emails, and I had quite a few conversations with people who didn't understand the process. It gets confusing to people, and we had to explain, where the capital comes from, who looks at it, and in what order. And some of the questions that all of us, I think, have raised over the last couple of years about Central Middle School. So, to their credit, 2 years ago, that school was slated to be rebuilt in 2032, and we started asking questions, why so far out? And so finally, this past year, before this happened, it was pushed up to 2026, which is really good. And just in my budget presentation a few weeks ago, before this happened, I talked about some of the cost avoidances and things about the capital project process and reforming that. And so we're putting together a committee that will not only look to reform the capital budget process, but also make some suggestions about building, construction, and maintenance. I think that can really put the town in a much better position going forward and allow boards and commissions to focus on what their core mission is. And so that's, there seems to be pretty wide agreement on that too. So we'll stay tuned on that, but there will be silver linings, and I think that's good that it was a clarion call to all. With that, we will go to old business with just one item on the agenda, which is to amend the term expiration of Matt Pop, who was recently nominated to the Board of Parks and Rec, to be a regular member to June 30th, 2023.
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor? Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. And again, thank you to Matt for stepping forward. New business, it looks like we have one item on there, and it's a revised declaration of the trust for the Greenwich Affordable Housing Initiative. And we have P&Z Chair Margarita Alban, our friends on. Good morning, Margarita.
Good morning. And I was going to introduce Amina as my partner in crime, and then we decided that wasn't such a good idea to talk about an attorney that way. So she's the wonderful partner and an extraordinary asset to the town. As you know, you approved this declaration of trust that is required for the Affordable Housing Trust. You approved it already. We submitted it to the RTM, and when we got into the committees, they were concerned. Two of the committees, the BOC especially, raised the concern that we had asked for ARPA money and that they had understood it to be all privately funded. And they wanted the BET to be involved if we were going to be using money in the trust that could have gone to another purpose in town. So it's a choice by the town to direct ARPA money to affordable housing, and that therefore the BET should be involved. We amended the declaration of trust to, we got some compromise language. Compromise is a wonderful thing. We got some compromise language in there that involves the BET input. Now with ARPA, it's a bit superfluous because the BET is the deciding force anyway. They've got that committee that Fred's working with that is deciding on the allocation of money. But should there not be a committee in the future that does that, the BET would get involved. That was the big change that we've made. We also corrected some Scrivener's errors. I think one finds those every single time one looks at a document. So we corrected a few of those. One open question arose yesterday, which we have decided we will not put into the declaration. There was a request that the declaration of trust include a clause that a member of the trust board could be removed for cause. But we don't have that process in place for any other town board, and we don't have a set of standards for it. What is cause? How would it proceed? So what we suggested to the RTM is that if they wish to have that type of clause, that it be added, it be considered for all town agencies that are nominated. You would really not be able to do it for elected members. We could do it, I believe, as a special act community, but there's currently nothing in place. So we are not amending the declaration of trust because it seemed unfair that you have one board that has that and there's no process and no standards. So there it is. And now I turn it to my partner in honesty. Amina, anything else?
Yes, good morning, Mr. First Selectman, members of the board. I think Margarita summed everything up very nicely. I wanted to touch very briefly on that last part of what she said. The provision on page 3 of the Declaration of Trust, which you have, has a paragraph stricken out, and that's the clause regarding removal of any trustee for cause, and the removal may be done by the RTM. So as you all know, that would be very unique to this Board of Trustees. We don't see that type of language in any of our other boards and commissions ordinances. So the question was raised yesterday by a couple of members on the RTM. I reached out to counsel who drafted the Declaration of Trust for Stamford and also worked with us a little bit on our document, attorney who is also bond counsel for the town, but very well versed in these types of documents. And the question I asked was, does anything statutorily or otherwise, are we required to have that language in the Declaration of Trust, given that we don't have anything similar in any of our other boards or commissions, ordinances, or as a process within the RTM? And the answer we got back was, if we don't wish to have it there, we can certainly remove it. But I think having said that, I also reached out to one of the RTM members this morning who had raised that concern. And I said, this might be a good time for us as a town to look at whether we need something like that for all our other boards and commissions. I know Board of Selectmen gets involved in the nominations and appointments process on a regular basis. So that might be a discussion if you as a board, and depending on feedback we get from the RTM, we could certainly take the lead on that and try to propose a policy or a procedure that might apply across the board rather than starting with this document. So that was what I suggested this morning to at least one of the members I spoke with from the Legislative and Rules Committee meeting, and certainly a discussion I said I would be willing to have with them and anybody else who thinks it might be a good idea to at least look at that down the road.
And we also added that we are working very closely with the Board of Ethics on this. I mean, we understand that if we ever had money, it could be a big deal. I'm not super hopeful right now. But it's important that we have good process in place for this. So with that, I would ask you to reapprove it at this time. I believe you would not need a second read since the change is minor. And I would ask you to reapprove it, and then we would go before the RTM in March. Unless you have some questions, of course, in which case.
No, thank you so much, Amina and Margarita. That makes a lot of sense. And certainly for your reasoning as far as starting here, if you're going to change something. So I'd rather see a policy across the board to be fair and consistent. So I would agree. And I have no questions or further comments. So I'll turn it over to my colleagues for their comments and questions.
Janet?
I would just say the same thing. I'm satisfied with the item at hand as it's stated. And I would voice my support for looking into a policy that's across the board. I know that the RTM, in fact, has considered this question for that body itself. So whatever process is robust that looks into it and is fair, I would absolutely support.
Great. Well, we may ask you to say that. Madame Rabin.
Yep. And maybe while we're at it, because another thing, and it's not related to the trust, but if we were going to put a policy together for removal, another thing that keeps coming up is term limits. And there's only one board that has self-imposed term limits.
Oh, who is that?
Your
The,
ex-board.
Human Services. We voted
Interesting.
as a board to on term limits.
Interesting.
3 terms, so 9 years.
Yeah, I know. And it's a tough thing because you look at, Tom Byrne, how long was he moderator?
26 years.
Yeah. And you look at, he did a splendid job, so you look at that and you say, what do we do? I always ask that to people. What do we do?
Yeah. You lose the institutional knowledge, but I guess the flip side of that is to always be having new ideas introduced into the debate and discussion. So it's sometimes they've done that where they stagger the terms, so you wouldn't lose everybody at once, and I think that's what they did there. So yeah, there's an argument to be made for both.
Yeah, and we have, so, get ready for me to quit then, Lauren, as soon as they do that, okay? Because I'll be gone. My term's got to be over soon. So in the meantime, we're working on the affordable housing plan, which is also a condition of the ordinance. And there's a team of people drafting it. There's a lot of RTM there's several RTM folks, the chair of the land use committee, the chair of the finance committee, whom we are hoping will also be involved with the trust down the road. And that's all I got.
Okay, well, no, thank you very much again to both of you. And with that, is there a motion to accept this minor adjustment and reapprove this trust?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Janet Stone McWiggin, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWiggin, yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, see you guys. See you shortly. Bye.
See you soon. Thank you. Seeing no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Janet Stone McWiggin, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWiggin, yes.
Thank you, everybody, and thanks, Jenny. Thanks, Barb, and we'll see you shortly.